Are there aspects to your day that you feel as if you're just, checking the box? Do you ever strive to reach out of your comfort zone, become uncomfortable, and level up? Privileged to be your host, this is Jason Wabick. Now, let's uncheck the box. A great day to everybody out there again. My name is Jason Wabick, host of the Uncheck the Box podcast, where today we continue our journey in striving constantly to be the best versions of ourselves that we can possibly be. And today, we're talking about accountability, something that's been sprinkled in episodes in the past, but really taken a deep dive, a specific focus on this word, accountability. I'll tell you what inspired it. I had a friend of mine, coworker, kind of in a nice, polite, very polite way, call me out. And those are my words, but, he called me out. He goes, hey, listen, I haven't heard the podcast in a couple weeks. I guess what I didn't realize is that, there are people out there maybe looking for that, right? Listening for that. And I grow tired, just like everybody else, and the ways of the world come about. The schedules start cramming up. Kids are back at school. Activities are flying, running here, running there. My Saturdays now are filled up with this and that, and that's when I usually spend time breaking down, planning this podcast, and or possibly recording it. If not recording it, it's already planned, and I'm going into Sunday, finding time to get behind the mic. Well, hasn't been the easiest thing. When things change, I've got to change my routine around it, right? So when my schedule changes and things start filling up and, it's that book, Who Moved My Cheese, right? My cheese got moved. Then I got to change things around it so my constants in life stay the same. Or else we get out of practice. We get out of routine. And we talked about how that can work negatively on our life. So anyway, that was a long answer there, or a long dissertation, but back to being called out in a good way. He was basically saying, hey man, where's the podcast been? I was like, you know what? I appreciate you saying that. And you know what? He was holding me accountable. He made me realize that it's important that if one person or 10 people or 20 people or 100 people are out there listening, one is enough. And it was important to him. So what could possibly be the importance of accountability in one's life? Well, I was reading a couple articles, as I like to do, on topics that I want to learn more about. And clearly, I'm not the best at accountability, right? No, I'm just kidding. I'm always willing to take it, as well as, giving out accountability, I guess is a great way to put it. So in doing research, there was this article that popped up on this website that was named impof.com, and I'll read it, and it was the importance of accountability in life. Accountability in life goes beyond owning up to the things that you have done wrong. While this is the common perception that people have about accountability, it does not sufficiently describe its true meaning. In essence, it refers to the completely owning the owning the circumstances that occurred during your life and understanding that you are responsible for your relationships, reactions, choices, actions, communication, and attitude. Along with holding yourself accountable as an individual, you also need to hold other people accountable for what they do. One of the most essential aspects of a wholesome and fulfilling life is accountability, because it results in healthier relationships, honor, compassion, truthfulness, dedication, and sincerity. This is a character trait that is worth developing throughout your life as you equip yourself with the ability to deeply understand who you are and the people around you while building trust, finding solutions, and resolving conflict. If you have an accountability partner that you are committed to, this creates a 65% chance of completing your goals in life. Wow. There's a lot to unpack there, right? And we're going to do that in the next couple minutes. But listen, my friends, it's about both, right? It's about being able to be held accountable, be open to hearing, like I was, being open to hear the words, hey, where have you been? Hey, where has been, where was the last episode, right? And he felt comfortable asking me that. And I took that as hey, man, you're right. Looked at myself in the mirror and said, there's no excuses here, right? And he felt comfortable to hold me accountable because he knows in return I hold him accountable. And that's exactly what accountability partners do. They give it back and forth. But it's also important, kind of piggybacking on what we talked about last week, that we hold ourselves accountable as well. The importance of accountability, a couple breakdowns, right? Competing priorities, a lack of motivation, an intense workload are some of the reasons that lead to excuses, and that happens, right? We've got so many things on our table. We don't really focus on any one. We try to juggle multiple priorities. Then we all of a sudden start, lacking motivation because we can't rein in our focus because we just got an intense amount of workload on our plates. Then it leads us again to those dreaded excuses that seep in there that really do us no good. Increased excuses are nothing more than a failure to not follow through on what you committed to do. That's what they are, my friends. You just didn't follow through, so we come up with reasons to justify. Kind of like we talked about last week about going easy on ourselves. That's one way we do it. Oh, I got busy. I was tired. To some degree, I said it here, right? My children and my life changed over the course of the last couple of weeks with the kids going back to school. And no, actually, I did not make any excuses, right? I gave you reasons, but I'm on the mic right now, right? So no excuses, right? Because they're just reasons for not following through on what you committed to do. You have to be willing to take responsibility for your actions, my friends. If you're not willing to do that, then it'll lead to those excuses and you never accomplish those goals. So why even set them? The importance of accountability increases credibility. It means that you will follow through on what you said that you would do. So the more that people hold you accountable and they see that you regroup and then you actually do follow through on that, that increases credibility, friendship, and the ability to lead people. We'll get to accountability of others lastly, but let's talk about ourselves, right? Accountability to us and what we can do and some things to keep in mind. Accountability involves accepting and understanding that your actions have consequences when you are responsible for certain aspects of your life. So if you take responsibility and you own them, okay, your actions, the decisions you make are going to come with consequences. Kind of recapping last week, it is about being hard on ourselves. What is it that we want, right? Planning out our goals. What is our desired outcome? But not just focusing on the end result, but focusing on the journey and how we're going to get there. Sometimes if we're too focused on the end result, we don't map out that journey, and we don't hit those goals is because we don't have a plan. The excuses start flooding in. We talked about intentional with prioritization, right? Setting priorities, trimming areas of our life that we just need to get rid of. Daily discipline. Expect more from yourself because you are capable of greater. You have to tell yourself that. You will fail along the way. You will fall. You'll be held accountable. You will hold yourself accountable, pick yourself back up, and continue to press on. So, again, holding yourself accountable really is a direct correlation to last week's episode and really not giving yourself a hall pass and a free go at this thing. But accountability for others is important. Forbes.com, I think really, there was an article on there that really spelled these out. Accountability for others ensures ownership. You're going to take ownership and they're going to take ownership. And they know that you're going to hold them accountable to it. There is no gray. and it will absolutely minimize confusion, especially if you're in a leadership role. You oversee a group of people. They're not going to be confused as to what's expected of them. They're going to own it because there is no gray. Holding other people accountable will build trust. This way, all team members know the rules at play. Again, they're not going to be confused on what's expected of them. Managers, you have to stick to the decisions that you make and the rules that are set, and you can't let people get off the hook. Just like we can't let ourselves get off the hook. Set those expectations. Don't let guesswork take over. Everyone should be held accountable to the tasks that they were delegated. Competence and skill are only a fraction of the equation. Somebody might be, we've probably seen this. We've all worked with coworkers that were amazingly talented, but yet they just didn't apply themselves. They were disorganized. They weren't motivated. And they were completely underperforming on their capability. But yet, you had the underdog that didn't have much skill, okay, but was very competent and was able to learn, was held accountable, held themselves accountable, and all of a sudden, they're leading the race. We've seen that before, the underdog mentality. And responsibility, along with specific expectations and duties, and would allow for collective success of an organization. So responsibility is key, everybody. Those were just, again, a couple things that I took away from that article. And, again, it ensures ownership, builds trust, and definitely set expectations. Being accountable to others, I had one of my very closest and near and dear friends on a podcast episode, maybe a couple months ago. We talked about vulnerability. We talked about being vulnerable shows your friends that you care about them and connecting with them, that you trust them enough to let your guard down and value insight enough to allow them to be there for you. Vulnerability empowers your friends to encourage you. We can be easy on each other as well. We can be compassionate and say, don't be too hard on yourself. That got brought up last week, right? But putting yourself out there for another human being and letting your guard down and allowing them to hold you accountable and to be able to receive constructive criticism is super powerful. And it is absolutely a catalyst for growth. This word vulnerability is key. Being vulnerable, being open, being raw, letting yourself open to that constructive criticism so the person that's holding you accountable can give you that feedback that's necessary to take that next step. Again, we are going to make mistakes and fail, so we have to know where we can improve so we can bounce back quickly and build on that. You learn who your true friends are. And your true friends, my friends, aren't always the ones that are always giving yourself a pat on the back or giving you a pat on the back. You can't pretend with a true friend. They're going to be real. They're going to throw it at you. They're going to tell it like it is. Being vulnerable invites people to become more open. A sense of being closer. Creates bonds, and that's super important and key for growth. We cannot be close with somebody, whether it's a friend or coworker, manager, unless we are vulnerable. We got to be open to receive all of the good things that come with accountability. And again, being vulnerable is key. My friends, super important topic today. Hold yourself accountable, okay? Don't give yourself that free hall pass we talked about last week. Okay? Know what it is that you want. Understand that you're going to fall throughout the way. That journey, visualize that journey. Visualize yourself falling and picking yourself back up and bouncing back quickly in an effort to receive the goals that you want. But be real with yourself. And when it comes to holding other people accountable, be clear with them, everybody. Let them know what it is you expect. Hold them accountable. Set expectations. And don't go back on what you say you're going to do. Credibility is key. I truly believe this, everybody. To be a true leader is to definitely love on them and care for them and care about them. But it also means holding them accountable. And people appreciate it more than you may think. You may think at times that you're a micromanager. I get that, because that can oftentimes, get confusing. But ultimately, what people really do, I truly believe the people that want to grow and get better, they want to be held accountable. They want to know where they stand. So if you are in that leadership position, find a way to hold people accountable. But be a doer. When they see that you're holding yourself accountable and that you're out there doing it, making mistakes, picking yourself back up, they will follow you and they will listen to you. And in turn, they will get better. As always, my friends, I appreciate you joining me. Great topic this week. I'm far from perfect in this department. I picked up a couple things, always looking at growing, as well as all of you out there. And I wish you the very best rest of your day, a phenomenal rest of your week, and we will absolutely see you back here next week, same time, same place. I appreciate you, everybody. Take care.